We start a little bit early so people can log in, and then we can start the actual live streaming as close as possible to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Um, all parishes are allowed to open up to 4 people serving, the priest, an altar server, and 2 chanters on opposite ends of the Salaya, and up to 10 lay people. If they want to open further, they need to contact me. Further up to 25%, that is. They need to contact me and send me the directives of the local authorities and the county authorities that allow it. So if that happens, we can study the situation and allow them to open up to 25% of the nave capacity. Not all places can do that yet. So the first step of having up to 10 lay people in the nave, of course, observing all CDC mandates, and all the directives by the Metropolitan, can open to 10 people in the nave and 4 servers, the priest, the altar server, and 2 chanters on either end of the Salaya. That can happen automatically in places where it's allowed by the civil authorities. If they need to go up to 25%, they need to contact me. Okay, let's start. Welcome everyone. God bless you on this blessed Sunday of the Samaritan women. Before we start with that, hello Father Jacob, Father Hans, Alithos and Esti. Before we start, some of you have been in touch with me and I haven't been able to return your phone call or your text recently. I have been under the weather for most of last week, but it is not COVID-19. I have recovered. I'm back, not 100%, but close to it. So I was under the weather, and it's not COVID-19, and I'm doing much better now, thank God. So, okay, blessed Saint Fotini Day. It's the Sunday of the Samaritan woman. The Samaritan woman who went to the well at the 6th hour, and the 6th hour back then meant at noon. She went to the well at noon because she knew it's too hot and nobody would be there to bother her because of her past. But she meets Jesus at the well, and he talks to her and he finds out about her past, and actually he knew her past before she tells him, and because of that she went and told her village, and many people believed in him. But the most important thing in this story is the turnaround of the Samaritan woman having 5 husbands and a new man that she is with, who is not her husband, turning her life around from that to becoming a saint in the Orthodox Church. This is an excellent example for all of us. Not that we have many wives or many husbands or whatever it is, but our lives include sins. All of us are sinners, and all of us need to continue on a daily basis to turn our lives around so that we have a life in Christ. I chose today something from the book The Life in Christ by Nicholas Kabasilas. I chose to read to you a few things. So how do we live in Christ? How do we have this union with Christ? How do we model our lives after Saint Fautini, who is the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman at the well? Saint Paul says in Romans 6:4, he says, walk in newness of life. Well, this is very nice, but very, very vague. What does that mean, in newness of life? It's a very short part of the verse. Walk in newness of life. Well, newness of life comes in two ways, and both ways are necessary for us to renew our life, to become new in Christ. St. Nicholas says, Nicholas Cabasilas that is, there is an element which derives from God and another which derives from our own zeal, which is exactly what we've been talking about for the past couple of years, 2.5 years, how we become Christ-like. There's an element that comes from Christ, from God, and there's an element that comes from our own zeal. What is that element that comes from our own zeal? It means that we submit to His grace and do not surrender the treasure nor extinguish the torch when it has been lighted. So God gives us that torch, that light, and it is our job not to surrender it, not to extinguish it, but to grow it in Christ, as St. Nicholas Cabasilas tells us. We contribute nothing which is either hostile to the life or produces death, which means we have to work on coming up with things that are life-creating, that will increase our zeal in Christ, will increase our zeal in Christ. Move forward towards the light of Christ. And if we do that and we ask for God's help, He extends it to us through the mysteries of the Church. Nicholas says, Cabasilas, Paul says, in Him we live and move and have our being. Through those mysteries, through the Eucharist, through the confession, through the order of ordination, through the mystery of marriage, and so on. So in Acts 17:28, St. Paul says, in Him we live and move and have our beings. That's how God contributes to our newness of life, through the mysteries, through the sacraments of the Church. In addition to through advice from other people, like our spiritual father, like our close friends. But we have to discern and make sure that these are counsels of God, that these come from God Himself. And we can do that through our spiritual father. Now, the good news is that we are able to return to those sacraments now. We can make appointments with our priests to receive communion, to have confession, and so on. Even weddings are starting to happen. Of course, all of that is subject to the limitation prescribed in the directives of the Metropolitan and the CDC. Social distancing, wearing masks, face coverings, and so on. So we have to be vigilant, remain vigilant, so that we don't allow the virus to continue spreading. So this is the good news, is that the mysteries of Christ, which are a good part of his contribution to our newness of life, will be resuming soon, or have resumed soon, in most of the parishes. So now all parishes can go up to 10 lay people in the nave, 10 lay people in the nave, and 4 servers, the priest, an altar server, and 2 chanters on either side of the solea. You can make an appointment with your priest to go receive communion, or do a confession, or receive absolution in person if you talk to your spiritual father over the phone. Any questions about that? If you have any questions, please type them up. And while you're typing up your questions, I'm going to give you an update on the virtual life conference. So far, we have 137 people who have registered. There's a breakdown for which organization they are, but I will not bore you with the details. But there are 137 people. Soon, probably by Wednesday, we will announce the CST at home, and we will have the registration form ready for everybody to register. It is Camp St. Thecla at home. We're working very hard to activate that and to make it possible for as many campers as possible. We have staff that will work with us. It's going to be very interesting. So I ask all of you to participate in it, to keep our connection to the camp, and to keep our connection to the church, so that when we open more fully, everybody returns to their church. Any questions about that? Soon we will start working on the fall retreat in September. We don't know yet if it's going to be online or in person. It depends on what goes on with the virus in the next month or so. Okay, if you have any questions, please type it up. I will try to answer all of these questions with respect to reopening the parishes, and with respect to the gospel reading today, of how we can live in newness of life, so that we can change our lives and orient them completely towards God. It takes so much commitment to do that. Okay, I see there are some questions. Hello, Al and Deacon Thomas. Okay, I have a question. Subdeacon Andrew in Boone, North Carolina, who is asking on behalf of Father Vasily. Okay, our governor's restriction on indoor worship were blocked by a federal judge this week, actually last evening. This means that we will be treated as any other commercial entity operating with 50% capacity or 50 people. Other churches in the diocese have been blessed to have more than 10 parishioners at a service. And Father Vasily is asking if perhaps there is an additional guidance. Yes, as I said at the beginning, every priest who wishes to open up the church more than the 10 people that are in the directives of the Metropolitan need to contact me, need to send me the directives of their county mayor, their city mayor, or the state governor of the state, and then we will discuss it together, and we will be able to open it up to 25% of the nave's capacity. If the governor's directive does not contradict with the county or city directives, then we will do this. If they do contradict, I need to receive the directives of the local authorities, the cities or the county, in addition to the governor's directives. And then I will discuss it with the priest, and then we can see if we can open up to 25% of the nave's capacity. Of course, all the CDC guidance and the Metropolitan's letter have to be adhered to very strictly. I hope that answers your question, Father Vasily. People we may have present during our services, or if we should continue to maintain the directions given by. As I mentioned, yes, we must continue to observe the directives from the Metropolitan and the local authorities. Just opening up to 25% of the nave capacity needs to come through the local bishop. So the priests need to contact me to do this. Let's see, there are more questions. Wonderful, Ron. You were able to go to Vespers. Wonderful. That's wonderful. So it's very hopeful, very positive that we are gradually going back to normal life. That is very, very hopeful and interesting to all of us. Normal life is very important. I understand that being at home for 8 weeks now, more than 8 weeks, 10 weeks, is depressing, is difficult, to look at four walls everywhere. We need to get out, we need to take walks during the day, and now we can go back to churches. The 25% can rotate, the 10 people in the nave can rotate. So there is a lot of hope. Do you have any thoughts on if we will have an in-person for retreat yet? Michael, that's what I just mentioned a little bit earlier. We're gonna watch the spread of the coronavirus for the next few weeks, and then we will decide if we will have a face-to-face fall retreat or we will have it online. Hopefully in the next few weeks we will decide that. Jean, my frustration is that there is so much misinformation out there. Example, regarding masks. I don't know what to believe. Well, early on, the advice was from the authorities was don't use a mask because it might give you more exposure to the virus if you adjust your mask or so on. And then they reversed that. They said, no, it's a good idea to wear a mask. See, we have to have common sense. Why don't we wear a mask without adjusting it? I think it will help. The new information that is on TV everywhere is to wear a mask. And I think it's a great idea to wear a mask. I've been reading a lot about the virus, and there are special receptors that it adheres to. And those receptors are in the eyes, in the nose, and in the mouth. So if we block the mouth and the nose with a mask, we don't allow the virus to go in and adhere to those receptors. If we wear glasses, then we minimize the virus going into the eye and adhering to those receptors. Of course, it can go in from the top or the bottom or the sides, but not directly through the eye. So we can minimize that exposure. I think Personally, I think a mask is necessary. I don't go anywhere to the supermarket, for example, without a mask and glasses and a hat so that the um, virus does not get to my hair. And when I come back home, I take the mask, put it aside, the glasses, put them aside, and then use hand sanitizer on my hands. If I'm wearing a short sleeve, all of my arms, so and actually on my face, so that if there is a virus, it is dead. We have to take, in my personal opinion, we have to take maximum precautions so that we don't contract the virus. We take maximum precautions, in my opinion, and then we leave the rest to God. So, Gene, I would wear a mask. I think it will help, and it will help us not contract the virus. And if we sneeze, it will help others not to get the micro droplets that we leave in the air. I know they say on TV that the mask does not help us in any way not contract the virus, but in my opinion, as an engineer, I see it preventing the contraction of the virus. That's my personal opinion, and I am not a doctor, but that's my personal opinion, and by using logic, it will reduce the chance of the virus getting to our nose or our mouth. Ron says, can we wear goggles to church if we have them? As long as they're not too intrusive, they're not too, they don't attract too much attention. I don't have a problem with that. In the church itself, though, if you wear glasses alone, it might be sufficient because there is no wind to blow the viruses around and make it enter through the side or the top or the bottom. So glasses might be sufficient. A reminder, our DOMSE YouTube channel, thank you Michael, that is a very good reminder. Our DOMSE YouTube channel has a new customized URL. URL is an address. It is youtube.com DOMSE videos. Please subscribe to that channel. It is youtube.com, which everybody knows, /DOMSE videos, and you get to the DOMSE YouTube channel. And now, because it's been there for over a month and we have way over 100 people subscribing to it, we can have a short URL and easier to use to get to the channel. Father Joseph, if coughing to your elbow works, then a mask works both ways. Exactly, Father Joseph. That is very true. That is very true. So I personally say, I'm going to wear a mask, I'm going to wear glasses to minimize the possibility of the virus getting to me. I will personally take maximum precautions and leave the rest to God. This is my personal preference. It is not what's coming from TV. It's not what the Archdiocese prescribes. But at a minimum, we need to accept and work with what the Archdiocese gives us in the directives and what the CDC gives us as directives, at a minimum. Al says, some of the confusion on masks maybe from the information specific to the N95 type, and masks in general. Masks have been common in other countries for many years during cold and flu season. Yes, I'm going to reiterate that I personally will wear a mask. Georgie, do we need to resubscribe to the DOMSE channel? No, you don't. If you subscribed already, you're fine. This URL is just an easy access to the channel. You don't need to resubscribe. What about altar servers? Do they need masks? Say says. I don't remember what the directives from the Archdiocese says, but I think it says that the priest cannot wear a mask in the altar. I don't remember. I would talk with your priest and look at the directives and follow the directives at a minimum. Okay, Ron has a KN95 mask with filters. Okay, that's fine. The K95 is the Chinese version of the N95 mask. That's fine. If you have it, that is perfect. 95 stands for filtering 95% of everything that goes to your nose and mouth. Okay, you can get them online. Wonderful. Can you put in text where you can get them online, Ron, so everybody can see that? If you can type the URL where you can get them from, so everybody can see it, Ron. Okay, also you can post that link in Band, but not everybody is in Band. If you know someone in your church who is not in Band, please ask them to subscribe to Band. It's very important. We have close to 600 people in Band right now, and we need to make the list bigger, larger, so everybody in the diocese subscribes to Band. And we need all men to subscribe to the Amen Band as well. All right, well, thank you everyone. God bless you. If there are no more questions, have a glorious and wonderful day today, and we'll see you, God willing, next Sunday where there will be more people in church. God bless you. Take care.